insane. Like imagine a sponge that triples in size when wet and then shrinks back down, and then over and over again every time it charges and discharges. Eventually things are probably going to crack. You know that meme going around where it's like, oh, if you want to clean the ice off your car windshield really fast, just pour boiling water on it. But obviously you shouldn't do that because that could literally shatter your windshield because of rapid temperature change. Thermodynamics. So in the battery, the silicon is actually really finely ground instead of a solid block to avoid the mechanical stresses. And the carbon is actually there just to absorb the expansion. So that's why it's called silicon carbon. So everyone's messing around and trying to tune it. Some companies are willing to include a higher and higher percentage of silicon because that lets you get a higher and higher battery capacity in the same space, but that's also pushing the limits. And so they also have to do their best to manage the inevitable swelling to counteract that. It's just physics or chemistry. I've actually been told there are certain devices that have a literal steel cage around the battery to prevent it from swelling. And then the cracking in this case is potentially some type of internal damage to the battery, which is obviously really bad news. And worst case scenario is some type of thermal runaway, which obviously nobody wants that happening in their pocket. And so you might be thinking, oh, well, what about all the testing? Like that's one of the most common things we hear from these companies is they're always able to verify something like, 80% battery capacity after 1,000 charge cycles. So trying to give us some confidence in the longevity of these batteries because they've actually tested that many cycles. Like that should make it survive years of regular use. But batteries obviously go through a lot more in regular use than just charge cycles. Like they deal with a lot of outside heat and cold. They get dropped sometimes. There's pressure changes. There's humidity changes, etc., etc. It's a long list. So testing is really important, of course, but it's really hard to account for all the variables that a battery might experience over a long period of time. In one of my conversations, my source mentions that with all the thorough testing going on, getting issues down to a rate of under 1 in 250,000 feels pretty good. Like if you have an error rate of something that's under 1 in 250,000, that's a very rare issue and you should be good to go. But at Samsung or Apple's scale, if it's tens of millions of phones, that could still not be good enough. That could still be a dozen exploding Note 7s like it was in 2016. So since there isn't quite enough real-world data yet, especially over longer periods of time, some companies are choosing to just sit it out for now and continue developing regular lithium-ion batteries. And remember those companies I mentioned at the beginning that are all not using silicon carbon? The Samsungs, the Apples, the Googles. They're all huge companies, but there's also something else they all have in common, which is they all operate or at least have a big presence in America. And I bring this up because we talked about